We recently at Workflowers decided to spin up a monthly email newsletter. And one of the things that I knew right away that I wanted to include was a roundup of interesting articles about AI and automation that I came across throughout the month. And I think there's so much news out there. I thought it would be useful to our readers to be able to just get a curated list that they can look through at the end of the month of the stuff that we found interesting. So right away, one thing that I thought about was how do I create a streamlined workflow so that as I'm coming across new articles throughout the month, I can sort of send them in advance to the newsletter so that when it comes time to actually put the newsletter together, I don't have to dig through my browser history or try to remember, oh, what was that article that I saw that was interesting. So here, using a couple of tools in Zapier as the kind of hook tying everything together, and some little known utilities and features within Zapier that I think most people aren't familiar with, along with our email newsletter tool, which is MailerLite, and even iOS shortcuts to pull together a streamlined workflow. So first step is this app here, which uses two little known steps called parse web page and create item in feed. So you'll see here, this app is triggered by a webhook. And what this is doing is just receiving a URL that I send to this webhook. Step one is parse web page action. And what this does when it runs is pulls out some key metadata about the article, including the article title, the author, if it's available, and the domain that the article has been published on. The next thing I do is pass some of those inputs into this create item in feed step. And this is a native Zapier app. Basically, what this does is it lets you create your own personalized RSS feed of whatever links that you want. So I created a feed called Links for Newsletter. It gives you gives you a custom URL where you can retrieve this RSS feed, and then you can pass in variables or hard code in whatever you want for things like the item title, the URL of the article, and the content that you want to populate the feed with. So that's step one. Next step is how do I send URLs to this webhook? And that's where I have a second Zap, which takes advantage of the Chrome extension from Zapier. And with this, I can just basically invoke the Chrome extension from any website that I'm viewing, and I'm just going to send it to that webhook URL from the previous app. So let's say I'm surfing The Verge. This is one of my favorite news websites. This is an article about Meta's personal super intelligence plans, highly relevant today in the AI space. So let's say I want to send this to the newsletter. I'm going to go ahead and activate the Chrome extension, sorry, the Zapier Chrome extension, and I'm going to hit send. And that is going to send that URL first to this workflow, which is going to then send it to the webhook, and then it's going to send it here and send it to the RSS feed. So we'll come back and check on that later. The second thing, though, is that a lot of times I'm reading articles on the go from my phone or my iPad. And then the question is, well, I can't use the Chrome extension on either of those devices. So how do I get an article that I'm reading and send it again to the RSS feed so that I can pick it up later? And that's where the beauty of the Mac and iOS Shortcuts app comes into play. This is something that I think a lot of people don't know about, but you can actually send information to webhooks like a Zapier webhook trigger through an iOS shortcut. So here I've set up a simple shortcut that's just going to receive a URL either from the share sheet, like I'm sharing it from Safari, or if there's nothing from the share sheet, it'll check my clipboard and see if there's a URL saved on my clipboard. And if it finds something, it's just going to post it again to that same Zapier webhook URL, and it's just going to send one piece of information, which is the URL and that variable action. So once that is enabled, if I activate my phone, just a second, I got to unlock. And there we go. Let's say I'm in Safari. Here's an interesting article about Zapier's AI orchestration platform. Okay, I want to send this. So I am going to, I've called it add URL to RSS. That's my shortcut. I'm going to invoke that. It's going to send it. Sometimes takes a second. It's hanging. Try this again. There we go. There's some permissions. Okay, there we go. Now it's sent. Okay, so now I have a workflow where either from my laptop or from my iPhone or iPad, I can easily send articles anytime I come across something interesting, and they'll go populate an RSS feed. Then the last step is, well, how do I actually use that RSS feed in my email newsletter? And that's where what comes into play is, I'm just going to call this test, and pick a random group. This is MailerLite. This is our email newsletter tool. And MailerLite has a lot of useful functionality, including many different types of content blocks that you can just drag and drop into your email campaign. And one of those blocks is right here, blog and RSS. So what I'm going to do is scroll down and use this, sorry, RSS list block. I'm going to pull it in. And now when I go to configure it, what I have to do is actually give it the URL of the RSS feed that I wanted to pull from. So I can come back here to my add link to RSS feed zap. The link was generated here. And I'm just going to drop this in, hit return, and boom. It's pulling in all the articles that I've saved to this RSS feed, including the ones that we just saved earlier in this video. And from here, I can configure things like how much information do I want to display? Maybe I just want to display the titles, or maybe I do want to display these excerpts. And I can actually also pick and choose exactly which articles I want to share, because maybe there are too many, or maybe there was one that I thought was interesting earlier in the month, but now actually I don't think I need it. So I can deselect them and then just show the ones that I want to send out. I hit save, do the rest of my editing of my newsletter, and can go ahead and send it out. And so now I have a simple, easy to use workflow that works on mobile and on my desktop that lets me save links throughout the month and have them ready to go when I want to put together my monthly email newsletter. Hope this is helpful.